I needed personal growth through awareness a few years ago. John Maxwell calls this the law of awareness in the book, The Invaluable Laws of Growth. One day, my boss's boss, David, invited me into his office. I thought I was in trouble, but I was not. I was offered a management position instead of a worker bee position. I was in shock. I only had minutes to decide if I wanted to get into management or not. And I accepted the position, but the only thing I did wrong was not ask questions. I learned more about myself in the first month of management because I did not get rid of my old job duties because of my control issues. I should have let somebody do my worker bee job so that I could do my management duties, like lots of meetings, lots of emails, lots of decisions, and lots of reports. I was working two jobs and being on call 24 by 7. I was wearing myself out. I wasn't getting any advice from my media upline boss, so I made an appointment with David again. I went into David's office and I explained I was struggling with my new position. He informed me in a diplomatic manner what I was doing wrong and what I was doing correctly. And that's when I got to ask questions and get answers. I learned that I knew very little about management. The key lesson I learned that day was that I needed to delegate my worker bee duties and some other small tasks of my management duties. I like this newfound action word, delegate. My delegating did not stop there. I had to evaluate my duties periodically as I was given projects, and I could delegate continually as needed. I needed to know where I was before I could move forward and improve, which John Maxwell points out in the law of awareness. I felt more comfortable being aware of my personal growth needs in my management position and kept learning and growing.
As a leader, it's so important to ask questions and learn to delegate, but we must also learn to self evaluate. In my first year as an administrator, I had big vision and very little self awareness. I was leading about 20 staff members, and in my mind, it was go time. I rolled out the vision, the plans, the steps, and I just expected everyone to get on board. Why? Because I said so. I know, I've learned a lot since then. You've probably heard the phrase, you can't turn a ship on a dime. Well, some of the people I was leading, they had been there since the ship was being built. They weren't just on the ship, they helped design the ship. And they had zero interest in changing course. Now, take low self awareness and add in people who refuse to change, and you don't get progress. You get a shipwreck. But instead of getting curious and instead of asking why they were resistant, I dug my heels in. I said things like, if you don't want to be on board, you're welcome to get off the boat. If you don't try, I'll have to write you up. You know, with a smile, of course, because that's what good leaders do, right? It did not work. They got more frustrated, more resistant, and honestly, so did I. Until one day, I hit a wall. I walked into the ringleader's room and I said, this has become a major problem. You need to get on board. And she looked right at me and said, I'm not the problem. I've been here 20 years. There's reasons we do things the way we do them. And you never even bothered to ask questions. And for the first time, it hit me. She was right. I came in with all the answers, but I lacked understanding, authority, but zero awareness. I expected change without connection. I wasn't just facing the problem, I was the problem. That conversation, it changed everything. It didn't just help me turn the ship, it helped me look in the mirror. And from that point on, I made a decision to lead with questions, not just instructions, to listen, not just direct, to always leave room for the possibility that I might be wrong. Because the truth is, the moment you think you have nothing left to learn as a leader is the moment you become the biggest obstacle in the room. And the best leaders, they're self aware. They understand that growth begins with honest self evaluation. And to lead others well, they must lead themselves first.
And to lead yourself first, the law of awareness again states you must know yourself in order to grow yourself. Every leader wants to grow, but growth is not automatic. Maxwell teaches that growth begins with honesty, clarity, and the courage to tell the truth about where we are today. Being self-aware changes everything. If there's one truth that I continue to learn that has shaped my growth as a leader, my experience as a leader, it is this: you cannot grow beyond what you're willing to acknowledge. You see, for years, I've tried to grow by working harder, pushing faster, taking on more assignments. But my real growth didn't occur until I started to slow down long enough to ask myself honest questions. Questions like, what am I good at? What drains me? What do I actually want? And who am I becoming now? Awareness isn't about perfection, it's about clarity. And when you know your strengths, you stop apologizing for them. And when you know your weaknesses, you stop hiding from them. And when you know your direction, you stop drifting. The moment I became self-aware is the moment I became responsible. And the moment I became responsible is the moment I became unstoppable. Growth begins the day I decided to tell the truth about where I am today. Awareness is the doorway to intentional growth. And every other leadership law, it builds on it. Maxwell teaches that every leader must know three things. Your strengths, that's where we grow the fastest. Your weaknesses, that's where we need support. And your direction. Growth requires a target. Awareness reveals the gap, growth closes the gap, and leadership is the result. There are three things that I shared in this presentation. Growth begins with honest self-examination, that you must know where you are before you can move forward, and that the lack of awareness leads to drifting. So for a call to action, I close with four questions from the Maxwell Law of Awareness chapter. And that is, do you like what you're doing now? And what would you like to do? Can you do what you like to do? And do you know what you want to do? These four questions uncover passion, your capability, and your purpose. And those are the three pillars for self-awareness. So if we want to grow ourselves, we must start by knowing ourselves. Awareness is the doorway. Growth is the pathway. Now you're on your way to intentional personal growth.